Hello and good afternoon, Xbox Nation. Welcome to this week's new episode of the Xbox Fractal Podcast. I'm your host, Mr. BoomStick XL. Folks, we have an outstanding show for you. Strap in, get ready, all Xbox news all day long, I should say. Listen, just want to do a quick show update. It's the summer. People are off. People are taking vacations. People are spending time with their family. I have Tyler staying over for a couple of days. I'm picking him up on Friday morning. So what we're going to do with this particular show is we're going to be dropping it down to a 90-minute show just for the summer. For the remainder of June, July, and August, because there's not a lot of news, and I don't want to hold up people from doing stuff with their family. So unless there's like ridiculous breaking news where it requires us to do a straight up 2-hour show, well, of course, we will return to that once the fall hits. But if any of that breaking news happens during the summer, and it's unlikely, we will then, of course, course correct. But moving forward, at least for just the summer, we're going to do just about 90-minute shows to kind of give everyone an opportunity to go out and, touch grass, so to speak. But that doesn't mean you're not going to get a rocking 90 minutes. And, of course, we have Infinite Umbra. We have Crazy Lou Gaming with that haunted painting back there. Crazy Lou, what's up, brother? How you feeling?
Oh man, I've been a busy bee, Mr. Bruce, busy bee, but man, I'm feeling great, Mr. Bruce. I'm feeling great, just tired, feeling great. Umbra, just in case I didn't say what's up to you earlier before, I was muted, just in case you didn't hear me. But either that though, man, happy to be here. Let's get the show on the road, man. Pumped up like always. Let's do this.
Great to have you here, brother. Appreciate you joining us as always. Jamie Moran will return next week. He got stuck at work, so obviously he can't be here today. But of course, we'll get Jamie back. But we do have Infinite Umbra. What's going on, my brother? How you feeling? All the way from Chi-Town.
Chi-Town, I'm feeling good. Boom, I am tired, but I did manage to. I think I balanced it out, right? So what I do is I just got in and just got a quick little cat nap in, as they would say.
Those work,
right?
brother. Those work.
Yeah. Okay, a little old man cat nap, you know what I mean? Get myself a little situated for the show and get up, a little bit before the show. So I think that helped a lot. So I think that's what I'll try to do going forward. Happy to be back here with you guys, though. And Louis, I did hear you.
You did? Okay.
Yeah, I heard you in the back. Yeah, you weren't muted at that point.
Okay. But welcome to our world, man. That's what happens. You start to get old, man. You get those naps. Yep. Those naps
you start standing up, hearing the bone crack and all that.
Tell me that, man. Then some parts of your body start to hurt. Like, why is it hurting?
Right. I coughed and my lung came out. How'd that happen?
Listen, none of you guys are as old as me, so I don't even know what you're talking about. But you know what? It's fine. It's fine. You got to get older, and you know what? Actually, the older you get, it's a bigger gift, right? That you got up today. I always like to look at it as I got up unassisted, and the rest of the day for me is always a bonus. So if you can get up unassisted, you know what? That's a W right there. The rest of the day, complete bonus, at least in my opinion. But I'm a simplistic MF, as you know. But listen, let's get into a particular topic that I think still burns a bit for most Xbox gamers. Now, of course, one of my favorite places to get news is VGC. And I had an opportunity to meet Andy Robinson while I was in LA. Chance meeting. Just happened to be in the same hotel, came down the same elevator, and I'm like, hey, aren't you Andy Robinson from VGC? He goes, yes, who are you? I said, oh, I'm Mr. Boomstick on Twitter. Oh, Mr. Boom, I know who you are. I don't know, wasn't sure if he was blowing smoke up my ass or not, but he seemed genuine. I like Andy before I got a chance to meet him in real life, and we had a chance to kind of have conversations. And of course, those stay private, but needless to say, very welcoming man. Enjoyed the conversation that we had. He actually kind of set me straight because I had won that skateboard from IOCAT from Chris Charler of Xbox during the Xbox a showcase event. And I was like, do I gotta send this? I gotta mail this to myself. Kind of put things on the plane. And Andy Robinson, actually, it's a great conversation, or at least part of it. He was like, nah, dude, just you can bring that right on there. You slap it in there. No one's gonna say anything. So I I went back to my room a little bit more relaxed, and I looked up, and I'm like, yeah, sure enough, I could bring this on the on the plane. So it arrived safe and sound, and I'm gonna hang it up somewhere. I just got to get a new place to hang it up in. But right now,
Well, you're obligated now to do some, stunts and tricks with the skateboard
let
now,
me just
right?
tell you something right now. I just finished working out for 67 minutes, and I am dead. If I ever fell on the floor, that's it. I'm broken. Take me to the hospital. I ain't doing no tricks no time soon. No nothing.
No, Mr. Wilson, what you gotta do is we need skates to come out on the VR, so you get the headset on,
That's
you got
maybe different. That's different. I wouldn't mind doing some sort of some skateboarding VR. So the reason why I happen to bring up BGC, ladies and gentlemen, and of course panel, is a story that I pulled. Now they wrote this. This was posted on June 21st, a couple days ago. And news has been a bit scarce, right? Obviously, we're coming into a part of the summer where people are going away, and there's less things happening in the industry. So, of course, you got to go hunting for these stories. And I happened to see this one. Now, this one is a bit pointed, and I do want to talk about it because if there is one particular sore spots for Xbox in 2024. And I want to start, of course, with Infinite Umbra because it stings for him even more. And that is the studio closure of Tango Gameworks and one of your favorite games, one of my favorite games, Hi-Fi Rush, unlikely to get a sequel, to simply lie where it is with its one release. That's almost I don't know, a gaming god's sin, if you will. But the story that was posted on Twitter reads like this, ladies and gentlemen. Xbox Game Studios head Matt Booty has implied the decision to close down Tango Gameworks was partly due to the change of creative leadership at the studio. So I pulled that story, and it's pretty interesting, to be honest with you, because look, we on this channel, Umbra as a creator, Crazy Lou Gaming as a content creator, you as a fan base, we, I think, hold Microsoft's feet to the fire when it's necessary. Now, some people may go overboard. Some people may try and poo-poo it like it's not a big deal. But I think it's safe to say, Umbra, that we, as a community that takes what we do serious, when Microsoft needs the smoke, we are not shy to give it to them. And the closure of this studio and the studio that brought us from the studio from Bethesda,
Arcane,
Austin.
Leon.
Arcane Austin. Thank you, sir.
Oh, it's Leon. Was it Arcane? Yes, Austin. My bad.
Leon is the one in France.
Right.
The one in Austin is the one that was in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
One. Listen, there are two studios that closed. Two studios that brought us very, very amazing experiences with IPs. Now, granted, unfortunately, they didn't sell, but I was always made to believe that is what Game Pass is the protection for. You don't need to sell 5 million copies because you are put into the service and you just need to make great games. Well, interestingly enough, this story is from the Variety Strictly Business interview a couple of weeks ago with Matt Booty. But now information is starting to surface regarding it. Now, I'm going to read some quotes directly from the interview, and this is going Umbra specifically with the the hows and whys as to the closure of Tango Gameworks specifically, and Matt Booty says this. I won't get into the real nitty-gritty details on what went into the decision, mostly out of respect for the people there. Just because there was a lot of work that went into delivering Hi-Fi Rush, which was a great game and did well for us. I think the thing to be considered is that for us, it's as much as forward-looking situation as much as looking back to one certain game. There are a lot of things that go on into the success of a game. What leadership do you have? What creative leadership do you have? Is the team the same team that shipped something successful previously? We have to look at all those things together and ask ourselves, are we set up for success moving forward? And while we're there, have been factors or situations that previously led to the success. They may not all still be in place as you look as to what you're doing moving forward. Now, in the lead up to this, and I'm going to read directly from the article. And who wrote this article? Let me just make sure, because I got okay. So Chris Scullion wrote this article, and I like Chris. Chris is a really good writer. So when I saw this, I wanted to talk about it because again, it's pointed and it's a sore spot for a lot of Xbox gamers. But Umbra, before I get to you, this is what it says. In an interview with Variety's Strictly Business podcast, Matt Booty was asked specifically about the closure of Tango and why it took place. And although he didn't mention any names specifically, Booty implied that the change of leadership and staff at Tango Gameworks may have been the one main reason for its closure, suggesting that while Hi-Fi Rush was a success, there was no guarantee the remaining setup would have delivered similar success in the future. Let's get right into it, brother. Does it make it any less sore? It doesn't for me per se, but I can say that we did hear that a lot of the staff did leave after the studio head, the founder of Tango Gameworks, exited stage left to do his own new studio. Maybe what was left wasn't enough. What are your thoughts?
Well, for me, Boom, and it did hurt because I absolutely championed a Hi-Fi Rush. It deserved it. It is a spectacular game. If you all have not given it a chance, you should. It really does deserve it. And man, I played the hell out of that game. I'm pretty sure.
I think you said you beat it like 7 times.
Oh yeah, I beat it a bunch of times. And this is one of those rare ones where I didn't even look to. And typically, I seek to get all the achievements in something like this. This I was just pure fun. This was just pure fun, and me going through it again because it's not so lengthy that you can't do it. And then once I got the rhythm and combos down, it was a breeze, and it played, as I put it, a rhythmic Devil May Cry. That's what it felt like to me. Not as extensive as Devil May Cry, of course, but that's what it felt like, and I love Devil May Cry, so it's right up my alley. It definitely felt sad for that, but also because they got such praise. You saw John Johannes. You saw like all the accolades they were getting, how hyped the man was. It was very clear that they were passionate about what they were doing, and it seemed like a revitalization of that studio because they've had, I guess, it's been a while since they had what was that, Evil Within that released, although that was teased in Hi-Fi Rush, by the way, part 3.
Yes.
And
yes, Ghostwire Tokyo was another one of my favorite games of the year.
I enjoyed the hell out of Ghost. I didn't think I was going to like that. I enjoyed the hell out of Ghostwire Tokyo, and now we're like denied both in anything else from now. I guess all 3 and further from them. That's the saddest part because it's potential lost, right? And now you got all these quality devs who could have given the platform and given us in essence much more diverse games and stuff like that. That's what we're losing out on. That I don't like. That's the part that really, really hurts. Of course, it hurt too when you saw all of a sudden these 4 games going over to another platform. It's like, okay, why would Hi-Fi Rush be going over? It just got all this praise. It was doing well. It was said to have met and exceeded expectations, et cetera, et cetera. So a lot of things just happened that didn't make sense. So hearing this right here, where we're getting some transparency and we're understanding some of the things behind the scenes, although we're not necessarily privy to that, it does at least alleviate some of the ire, right? Because you get a better picture now. Now, before, we just assumed, well, Shinji had already left. They were good with Johannes, he's taken over. They're going to continue doing what they do. Well, it doesn't seem that's Microsoft's plan. And before, we all knew that they wanted to extend their reach in Japan. I think Shinji was a major part of that. And well, we know he was a major part of that because if you all remember, so a year before that, him and Phil were having a little teleconference, at that showcase, I think the Tokyo Game Showcase. And Shinji was there talking and being translated in some of his words. He was speaking Japanglish, if you will. And he was in Phil was corresponding with them, talking about how they so happy to be aboard and on board and everything like that, and to bring more creators, Japanese or Asian creators in general, into the fold. That was the initiative that Microsoft had. We've heard Sarah Bond speak about how it was 200 plus, Asian developers they're bringing into the fold to create and bring games to the platform. So it's very clear that their intentions at that time was to have a bigger, stronger reach in Asian territories. Now, with this happening like this, it feels like, well, what the hell happened? Did the plan now get changed? I think that's why so many of us were like, what the hell? Because many of us wanted that outreach to Japan to pull more of these people in and more of these studios in. And this right here went, is antithetical to that. It just went right against it. So we're like, wait a minute, what's going on here? That's the most confusing part. So I think getting some transparency, and of course he can't tell us everything, so he's going to allude to it, but you can put 2 and 2 together. Obviously that we heard about them not having a specific game in the works and a pitching stage, so that didn't help. And also the big leverage they had in Shinji Mikami leaving seems to have been the final nail in the coffin, unfortunately. And it's sad. Now, I was one of the people who was like, much like that brother who left the initiative that time. I was like, this brother pop up over there at Insomniac. I'm gonna be upset. And sure enough, he
went right back to Insomniac. Yes,
exactly. And I said, I know I said it on some podcast. I'm not sure which one I said it on, but as I'm doing 3, but I said something tells me that Shinji is going to pop up somewhere. And I said, what if he just pops up in Capcom again or something like that? Shinji, a legendary creator. I mean, the creator of so many legendary franchises.
Creator of Resident Evil.
Exactly. So I figured, why not bring him back into the fold for his kind of like final foray and get him out of there with a company he started with, or at least one of his most profound companies, at least with Capcom. That's my thinking. I said, well, I wonder if he's going to show up there. He didn't show up there, but he did show up in making a new studio. So I was like, wait a minute, what is going on? So a lot of this is still confusing. A lot of this we're not probably never going to get the answer to, but something happened. Something changed behind the scenes where, he felt he had to get out of there. And as far as the other studios leaving, or people leaving from the studio, should I say, I don't know if that's been confirmed or not, but there was a guy who had said he worked there and he was confirmed to have worked there who said that wasn't true. So I don't know. Who knows? But if we also were led to believe Shinji wasn't the reason why that was happening, and then we find out now, at least this is what is being alluded to, that it was because Shinji left. So I don't know, but all in all, getting some transparency on it does help, kind of, at least, I wouldn't say make you feel better, but it does make you feel like, okay, I get the understanding now. I get why they made the decision they made ultimately. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. Now, shout out to Pixelbit G. He says apparently he was looking to leave 2 years prior. See, I didn't know that either.
Shinji he's talked about retirement for a while. He had been talking about it for a while. That's why I was surprised when I was like, something tell me he's going to come back, and he still came back and got a new studio. So I'm like, well, what is it then? Do you want to retire or not? And now why all of a sudden with Xbox? So maybe he's not feeling Xbox that much. Who knows?
It certainly could be that. Now, look, let me just address something in the chat. I see that there are a lot of people that are kind of like, hey, this is a slow news week. You're talking about Tango, or why are we rehashing this? This story is new. It has new information that has context to the closure. And I do think, and maybe I hope that you will eventually come around to my side and agree. I think just burying this is wrong. I don't think that that we should allow Microsoft just to close a studio like Tango and just go like this and be done with it. I think that as content creators, we who have an affection and an affiliation for this studio and the games that it produced, to get out there and say something. Microsoft listens to this show. Now, is little old Boomstick with under 15,000 subs going to get Tango reshaped and put out there as a new company. No, that. Come on, let's not get ridiculous. But I am not letting Microsoft off the hook. Now, this isn't chasing clicks. I know I saw somebody in there that said that. Come on, guys, this is me. You know the work that I do. This is a story that was put out only a couple of days ago that I thought brought additional context to something that is a sore spot. Now, are we going to spend the entire 90 minutes talking about negative Xbox news? Well, no, of course we're not. We're going to get into the fun stuff. But I think that this is a conversation that still needs to happen. Microsoft needs to know that they effed up. And I am willing to potentially get people to give me the thumbs down and maybe even unsub the channel to bring this conversation back into the limelight, because I'm not letting Microsoft off the hook. Xbox effed up. That's it. I don't care who's there, who wasn't there, who left, who stayed. You abandoned ship of your only Japanese studio. And if we know anything from someone like Ecstasies, who yesterday put out a video where he's implying that they are looking to the East to acquire a publisher, which is something that could happen at the end of this year, maybe the start of next year. This is definitely not a good look. Like, how are you going to, sell your dream of owning a Japanese publisher when you closed your only Japanese studio? So I do think this is worthy of a conversation. And no, we're not chasing clicks here. We get a couple of thousand views for each show that I do. And you know something? We are okay with where we are. I don't like the idea that there are people in here, this chat right now, which will not say your name because we don't want to have any dog piling or finger pointing, to come into the chat and accuse me of chasing clicks. I'm gonna be honest with you. You don't see it, but that boils my blood. We don't do that here. We're talking about something that's serious. I take it upon myself, even if I get L's for it, to keep this conversation going, because Microsoft made a mistake. And I'm just not burying this. I'm just not going to walk away and be like, yeah, it's okay. It's Microsoft. They know better. No, I think they got this one wrong.
And listen, just to throw it out there, I mean, I get it. Some of you guys might not fully know. You don't know Boom as well, right? You know him from the show. You don't know him behind the scenes. But I can tell you just from, having known him now for 2 years now, Boom? Like, having done this with you and everything like that, or a better year and a half, I can tell you all that he's a very genuine man. And I relate to that. I vibe with that. I don't like fakes. I don't like frauds. You've heard me speak on this before. I said it elsewhere. I do not like that. I don't appreciate them. I don't like anybody who's just deceiving anybody who's coming to actually listen to us, because I've said this before as well. I don't see myself as any greater than any of you all in the audience listening to us. I just talk about what I talk about and give my thoughts out. I'm sure some of you would outthink me. You know what I mean? So don't think that I think I'm better, or I don't think Boom or Louie think that way either. No. But these are just our thoughts, man. Just our thoughts, as Jay-Z would say. But never would he try to do it to frame it to just get clout and to, and trick you guys into coming to check him out. I think you all at this point are locked in and say, hey, this is our show to watch at this time. So why would he have to do that, right? So think about it like that. And we just have a discussion. That's all it is. It's just
no. That's very kind of you, Umbra, to say, and I appreciate the pat on the ass, so to speak, because again, we don't get paid for this, folks. Yes, people drop super chats, but after all the deductions, I'm not. I put it to this way: Mrs. Boom and I are saving for our first home the long, boring, traditional way. YouTube isn't going to bring our first home, but we still do this 5 days a week because we care. And I do think that this is a conversation that Microsoft needs to hear, that we're still having. And I'm going to keep driving the point home. If there's one thing that will stand out for me in 2024, it will be the closure of this studio, because of how much I loved this game and their games, for that matter. But Louis, let's bring you in.
Why so serious? Why so serious? Says Umbra only likes Boom because he's running on Unreal Engine 5.
I love it. Oh my goodness. So let's get your hot take on this Crazy Blue Gaming. New information comes the way of this VGC story. Now, again, this variety story with Matt Booty is a couple of weeks old, yes, but we did. I read the story. I listened to the audio. Maybe this went over my mohawk, but it turns out that the staff that was left there after Shinji left, and then of course potentially took some of his major talent with him to start his new studio. What was left wasn't enough to justify keeping the studio open. I disagree, and I think Microsoft should know that they got it wrong. What are your thoughts on the new information?
Well, Mr. Boomstick, let me ask a couple of things that you mentioned earlier about the whole story thing, because since this is fresh, right? This is just fresh out of the pot. Of course, I mean, what we do out here, we come out here, we talk about it because it's just fresh. It's fresh news, and we got to bring it up. But here's the part that actually bothers me, right? And what bothers me the most is, Mr. Boomstick, and what I don't understand about media and how it works is that it needs to be more balanced. I mean, I talked about this morning, the whole Matt Booty situation. I'm like, why are we still, till this day, still talking about this? Why are we still asking Xbox why they closed their studio? Why are we doing this when on the other side were PlayStation, right? Because in 2020, PlayStation closed Sony Japan Studios. It had fabulous games. Fabulous games. I mean, I was rooting for this generation. They actually could bring back the Legion of Dragoon. Why don't we ask Sony why you close down the studio? Why don't we ask Sony, why did you close London? Why don't we ask Sony, why did you close Pixel? Why don't we ask Sony? They don't ask those questions to Sony. They don't. They always ask Xbox. I mean, there's always got to be a negative news to bring up with Xbox. Like the negative things talk. It's like, I even bought some articles I saw this past week. I was like, what? I know what happened with Marvel vs. Capcom, right? We all know what happened. I know it's not coming to Xbox. And it's funny, I read somewhere, I don't say any names because I don't like to say names, but I read somewhere they said that Capcom is actually losing the trust on Xbox. I'm like, what?
Yeah, that's nonsense. I saw that as well. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's a Capcom game coming to Game Pass, brand new, fresh out of the oven, in July 24th, during July, the month of July. You guys are saying that that's
dummy.
Yeah,
I mean, that's what I say though. Why do y'all need to talk about this? Okay, you all heard Phil Spencer talk about it in the IGN thing after a great showcase. I mean, why did y'all have to bring that subject after such a great showcase? Why? You need to know the information. So wait, Microsoft is going to go out there and talk to y'all, then give you all that reason why they closed it? Did PlayStation give you all a reason for closing those great studios? No. Then why should Microsoft give you? And it's every single time. That's something that I'm like, damn, you guys need to be more balanced. Ask them all of them, even ask Nintendo why they closed down the studio, which I think they did one. I don't know, but they don't ask none of those guys.
They very rarely do.
Yeah, but they don't ask questions though. They just ask Xbox these questions, and it's like, okay, let's ask this question, let's pitch it out there because the fans want to know. All right, going to the business side of things, right? Maybe maybe there was a lack of leadership. Maybe they didn't have a project going on there. Maybe something was just not happening over there, and they're like, okay, why don't we just close it down? Get some of the guys to work on other things. And look, for what I think that this is a theory I have. I think the IP isn't dead. I think they could actually work on it and make it with another studio and make a new Hi-Fi Rush 2 or anything, because they probably move the resources to somewhere else because they need it. I don't know. I don't know what happened in there. I don't know what went on. But yes, it sucks. Of course, I understand any studio closure, whichever studio there is out there that closes, it sucks because we don't want those studios to die because of the great games they make. You know, we don't want them to go away. We don't want that because every time we hear closure, we go into fear factor like, oh man, this is bad. It's happening. Like, for example, when Hi-Fi Rush, got pushed to PlayStation and pushed to Nintendo, it was probably, one extra push to probably try to, get boosted up. I don't know because I'm not in there. So at the end of the day, though, it's like I just still don't get why is it always negative news on Xbox with all this situation and why they keep asking all these questions. I mean, balance it out. Ask Sony. Like, for example, the VR cuts. Why are you guys cutting the VR budget? I mean, I spent $550 buying your VR. I mean, seriously, why are you all cutting this? I mean, what's happening over there? They don't ask that question. Now, if Microsoft did that, we all know that we're asking all them questions right away. And that's the thing that irritates me, though. because I don't understand why this media just doesn't cover fully. Same way as they do with the Xbox, you got to cover the same with PlayStation. They got to be balanced with this. And this is why, like you mentioned, we got to talk about it. Of course, it's fresh news. And we lately, like, of course, like, there's just been small news coming out, stuff like that. But either way, though, something like this comes out, we got to talk about it because, yes, we know it sucks that Tango closed down. But what more reasons do you guys want to? I mean, you want the inside information of the company? They're not going to give it to you. No matter how much you ask, they're not going to give it to you. So, again, either way, ask Sony too. Ask Nintendo too. Ask them why. Ask Embracer why they closed down all these two. Why don't y'all ask them? It's always Microsoft. That's the thing I just don't understand.
No, I mean, you're not wrong. And specifically the VR situation. Now, think about this for a second, folks. Phil Spencer was lambasted by people in this community, as well as, of course, the gaming media, as Phil lied about VR. Well, business changes. He saw the business, and he's like, yeah, VR, we're just not going to do it, right? What wound up happening? A year after PSVR 2.0 comes out, the story broke last week. I think we talked about it on Friday. They're gonna stop supporting it. They're gonna stop funding it. That means it's dead. They have two first-party games in the works. Supposedly, whether or not those stay working or not, or continue to work on those, I don't know. If there's no funding, it's unlikely that they're going to continue. No one asked Sony, to Louis' point, why is this happening? And even look, if Sony doesn't want to give the answers for their inside stuff, which they won't, fine. But what about IGN or GameSpot or even VGC for that matter, asking the tougher question? How did you find it okay to have someone that just went out and spent $650 after tax for their new PSVR 2.0, and now it's basically going to be a paperweight, because now there are a lot of, I think they have like 200 games for it, so it's not like they don't have games, but most of those games are shovelware, and most of those games, like me, which is why I didn't buy it, I owned already, but they weren't backwards compatible. That's why I didn't buy a PlayStation VR 2.0. I'm like, they're going to abandon this. I know it. And look what wound up happening. Now, like I said jokingly a couple of months ago, yeah, I'll pick it up when it's in five and below. It actually might get there. It might actually get there. So look, at the end of the day, listen, I don't want to spend any more time on this. Last thing I want to do is upset the chat. I think that it was worthy of a conversation. If you don't, please, by all means, hit the thumbs down button. Hopefully you don't unsubscribe, because Mrs. Boom and I work super hard, and we are 241 subs away from 15K. Hopefully we can get there by the end of the summer, and the summer's usually slow. But look, it's a sad day for me personally, that we're never going to get sequels to games that I loved. Who didn't love the Evil Within? I didn't vibe with the first one for some reason, but the second one I beat 3 times. It was phenomenal. Ghostwire Tokyo, my God, that game was so good. Ended, and again, if you beat it, no spoilers here, it does leave it wide open for a sequel. The character was great, the magic was great, and of course, I saw a lot of people didn't care for Hi-Fi Rush. I hear you. Not every game is for every gamer, but I really enjoyed it, and I thought Chai was such an amazing character that he could have his own anime. So yeah, it's sad. It's disappointing. We don't do these shows to piss you off, but I thought it was worthy of a conversation. Please continue.
I was gonna say, look at Days Gone 2. We're not getting a sequel. Days Gone 2 was gonna be co-op. I mean, it would have been freaking phenomenon.
Yeah,
but no, we're not getting it. I mean, nobody asks these questions. Only Microsoft. That's the thing that irritates. I mean, be balanced. I hope they start being more balanced, because seriously, all you do is attack Xbox. Seriously, go attack PlayStation. What they're doing? Damn it, do it. Why are you guys so protected? What, are they giving you a little briefcase, or they giving you a little blue check or something? Damn, coming out, talk. Don't be afraid. Seriously, we're tired. We're tired of always negative news on Xbox. Always. And we also got Xbox people talking negative. I mean, seriously. Let's balance it out. Let's jump on the wagon. I mentioned PSVR 2. Damn it. $550. Now they're cutting budgets. I mean, I spent that money. I would be pissed. I'd be like, oh man, I know that's something that's scary. That's scary news right there.
Anybody that bought that PSVR 2, they themselves have them. No one else to blame but themselves.
Exactly.
I saw the writing on the wall for that thing immediately.
I mean, look, what you expect with PlayStation is first party dominance, because they do not, again, maybe they're not for you and you don't like their games. I hear you. But when they bring out a piece of hardware, you would expect that because it's a sequel piece of hardware, meaning that they know what they want to do, they're going to put some big first party development into some big IPs. And that didn't happen. Very disappointing. Like, almost immediately, there should have been a new Wipeout for that game. Like, what? How isn't there a new Wipeout? I know maybe the studio doesn't exist anymore. I think Psychosis is the studio that made the original one. I don't think they're even around anymore. But they own the IP. Put somebody on a freaking on a game that is built for VR. Listen, at the end of the day, we're going to get into the showcase, because people are still talking about that as well. 3 weeks later, there has been a lot of rhetoric around the showcase. It is no doubt the greatest showcase that Xbox has ever done. But before we get there, I do got to catch up on Super Chats. I mean, there has been a lot of them and a lot of channel membership gifts. So let me get to that, gentlemen, and then we'll get into some of the showcase information that's popping up. And Sith Lord starts us off with a $2 super chat. And he says, Boom, thanks for being awesome. Keep up the great work. That's very kind of you. And so is the $2 super chat, Sith Lord. Definitely appreciate that. Adidas 20 drops a very generous $5 super chat. And he says, I'm here. What's up, everyone? And salute to you, Adidas Zero. Thank you for the support.
Shout out to both my Chicago brothers.
There you go. That's right. Chi-Town times 3. We also have here P1. I think it's Pissed. So I don't want to read it out. So Pissed. Welcome back, and brother, thank you so much for the generosity. He's been a channel member, ladies and gentlemen, for 11 long months. He says, whoop, whoop. What's up, Boom and Company? Looking forward to a great show that I get to listen to in real time. Great Tuesday indeed. Brother, that's very kind of you, and I'm glad that we can help push your Tuesday forward. Thank you so much for that. Joe Dunmore, very generous friend of the program, has been a channel member for a long 19 months, and he says sometimes you have to let go. When LeBron left the Cavs, they were not the same team. That's very true, and I think he's talking about when Sinji left, they just weren't the same. Tango, and he's probably right.
Legendary creator. You can't be the same without him, right? It only makes sense.
Yeah, when guys like that leave, they become a shell of their former self. Will Broke Boy Lewis. By the way, brother, your coin was mailed out today. It should be there in 2 days. I will send you the tracking number once we're done with the show. Everyone that won a prize on Friday, all of your coins have been mailed out. We mailed out 9 of them. So, we spent a pretty penny on shipping today. But, listen, this is what we do with the Super Chats and the channel memberships. We pay it forward, and everyone should be getting their stuff. I have tracking numbers for everyone. So by end of day, I'll send you a picture of the tracking number so you can see when it's going to be delivered. Joe Dunmore drops an additional very generous. Oh, wait a second. First of all, Will Broke Boy Lewis has gifted, ladies and gentlemen, 5 Double Barrel Gaming memberships, and he did that quite a few times last week. Will, thank you so much for the ridiculous generosity. We certainly appreciate it here. Joe Dunmore drops an additional very generous $5 super chat and says, Tango was an acquired studio. Who's to say that some staff didn't want to work with Microsoft and Xbox? No one's ever said that out loud, Joe, and that is, you may not be wrong about that. I mean, they are the, American company coming in, or they're American company coming in. Maybe people are like, yeah, I'm not hanging out with them. So you never know. Will Broke Boy Lewis drops an additional very generous $5 super chat. And he says the reason Sony PlayStation doesn't get asked and answer questions is that they very rarely actually do interviews with outside sources like Xbox does. That's a phenomenal point. That's very true. They just don't. Ducato not only has gifted 5 Double Barrel Gaming memberships, in Ducato, brother, that is crazy generous of you. Thank you so much. He drops an additional $2 super chat and says, there goes some subs. Boom, brother. That's very kind of you. And we super appreciate Ducato. And again, listen, we pay it forward. That is what Mrs. Boom and I do. That's how we're always going to be. And like I said, so I don't say it at the end. Look forward to, I believe it's coming out September 5th, if I'm not mistaken, Stalker 2, which we're going to get into. We're going to talk about that because some new screenshots.
Can I jump real quick on what's his name? We broke Lewis, right? He said something about broke boy Lewis. He said something about the reason Sony PlayStation doesn't get asked and answer questions very rarely. It's simple. Will, all you got to do is write an article with the title saying, "Why did Sony close down Sony Japan Studios?" and ask right there in that article and get media trolling with it, and they will come out with an answer. All you got to do is push it. And it's something that they just don't do. All they do is push Xbox negative news. They don't push negative news with Sony. All they say, they closed down, that's it. And they don't write what games they made that were great. They don't write nothing about that. And they should do that. They should go out there, balance it out, even though Sony doesn't do interviews. But if you go out there and media pushes it, Sony will have to definitely come out and say something or do an interview and talk about it. You got to push it. Now, if they shut up about it, then Sony will never do it. That's what they do.
I think there's a bias in general when it comes to.
Oh, there is 1,000% there's a bias. There's no doubt about it. Yeah.
Yeah. I will, like a few people mentioned it in the comments, and from Sun Rash to Michelle, they mentioned about the game I actually really enjoyed, Stellar Blade, only selling a million copies. I'm actually surprised by that. It's a success technically. I'm sure the studio in South Korea is in the most, they're not the biggest shift up, but that's actually pretty surprising with all the talking and headlines that game had got, because of a lot of the thirstmongers out there wanting to see her in like
the thirsty uncles is what you're talking
the thirstmongers. You would have assumed it sold more. I thought it would have sold more. I'm surprised.
I thought honestly it sold 2 million copies. I am wrong.
I thought it did like four or five. I would have thought.
Yeah, well,
especially
look,
with PlayStation being kind of dry.
This is going to sound a bit salty. This is going to sound a bit console worry. I apologize in advance for it. Here's the problem. It is a known fact, ladies and gentlemen, that PlayStation gamers, the hardcore, not your normies. Normies, they don't give a shit. They could care less about this trench war shenanigans. They buy their 3 games a year and they just play on their PlayStations. And half of PlayStation players right now, 51%, are PS4 owners, not PS5 owners. When you look at the sales for PlayStation games that are like just look at the last couple, right, that have come out that were rallied and charged, and they were exclusives. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth sold terribly, right? What was the name, Umbra, of the samurai one that came out? That
Ronin, Last Ronin.
Last of the Ronin, yes. That sold terrible. Now here we are. Now you're telling me live on the air that the Stella Yams, or as it's known from the kids, it only sold 1 million copies. Those are 3 console exclusives for PS5, and they sold horrendously. What that says is that the PlayStation hardcore play Twitter more than they play their consoles. They talk up these games, that these are the second coming titles, and unfortunately, they don't buy them. My bad. And I think that's a story.
Rise of the Ronin, not the Last Ronin.
Rise of the Ronin. Okay, there you go. Rise of the Ronin. But again, it's the numbers are the numbers. Like I said, this is what I love about evidence-based conversation. We can all have our opinions. We can disagree. We can call each other knuckleheads. That's all fine and good. But the numbers, you cannot lie about the numbers, because they are what they are. Right? There's no arguing the numbers. And unfortunately, 3 console exclusives for PlayStation that were expected to take the place of their own first party, kind of just laying down, if you will, this year, and they didn't deliver. So let's just let's just say, for shits and giggles, ladies and gentlemen, that 3 IP, different publishers, different developers, 1 platform, right, and not even 5 million copies between the 3. That's not good. That's definitely not good.
You know, I'll point out too that it not releasing to PC. I don't know why those guys agreed to that.
I
Like,
don't know.
I don't know what would make them think, yeah, let's not release it to PC and Steam and all of that too. Like, that's just so stupid and backwards. And Sony is going to eventually learn this lesson too.
Yeah.
And bowed and then in bend the knees, should I say? But yeah, them not releasing it to PC is also why the sales are probably not as great as we thought they would be. And once they release it to PC, I'm sure they'll pick up. But I think they hurt themselves with that. But maybe it helped them. I don't know. Again, they're not the biggest of studios, and they are in South Korea, so their value and prices on whatever they do, the cost to make a game might not be as exorbitant as it is here in America.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely probably what it is. But you know what? Let's move on to a story that has been making the rounds. It's rather new. It does involve Square Enix and a particular exclusive. Now, you played it, Umbra, and I'm going to go to you first on this. That Final Fantasy 16. And interestingly enough, here we have some information from Hiroshi Takai, or Takaya, right? I believe that's attack. Yeah, that's how you say it, Takaya. He is the lead director at Final Fantasy 16. He had some interesting things to say, and it appears that Final Fantasy 16 is releasing sooner than a lot of Xbox gamers thought. Now, I don't know if they went back and kind of reworked the deal with Sony. I don't know. It doesn't say that in this particular couple of quotes here, but it's interesting because we are coming up on the 1-year anniversary. So this is what it has to say. The 1-year anniversary since the release of Final Fantasy 16 is here already. Thank you so much to everyone who has played the game. I wish to express my regards to all of you on behalf of the team. Since then, we have also released the DLC episodes Echoes of the Fallen and The Rising Tide. I hope everyone is having fun with those alongside the main game. The development team is currently hard at work on the PC edition. We would like to make Final Fantasy 16 available to play for as many people as possible, so watch out for that one too. Thank you for continuing to support Final Fantasy 16. See, so Umbra, it's the line before, we would like to make Final Fantasy 16 available to play for as many people as possible, so watch out for that one too. That is obviously what he's talking about is the Xbox version. Do you think that we get this sooner than later? Do you think maybe this is one of the big announcements at the Tokyo Game Show?
Yeah.
Yeah,
or Gamescom, maybe, but Tokyo makes more sense, to be fair.
Tokyo Game Show makes more sense because obviously Phil and team are going to fly out there. They've already confirmed they're going to be out there. Supposedly, they're bringing some wares that they had to cut, like they're bringing some wares for Gamescom. I mean, look, I have it. I never played it. I got it on sale. I think I paid $23 or $24 during the Black Friday sale. I bought it because that's a good deal, 23 or 24 bucks. That's not bad. You beat the heck out of it. I'm wondering if Xbox gamers are as excited as you to play it. Will they pick this up?
You know, I'm wondering about that too, Boom. I'll say this. I enjoyed Final Fantasy 16. It had a lot of issues, though. It's not a perfect game. One, the semi-open-ish kind of world. I don't know. Like, this is the thing I'll say. They need to get better at their world design because it's a nice looking game, but you're just running around and until you get one of the chocobos, you're just kind of running around and it's very tedious is the best way I can put it. And I felt that way with a few other Japanese titles, I guess I can kind of point to. Even Stellar Blade had that desert point where you were kind of running around, but it wasn't as dramatic to me. Because she's far faster than Clive rather. So I will say it is an enjoyable game. If you got it for that price, oh, that's a steal, 100%. So if it does come to Xbox, when it does, which it should have long ago, same thing with Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Yep.
I would say reward them with your pockets, folks, and make sure that it goes on sale before you buy it. Teach them a lesson. With sending us games way over years later. But Square had to learn the hard way, and this is one of those hard lessons that they had to learn. And And I don't think necessarily dropping a game to us like, oh, here's a little scraps now, $60. Nope, not buying that for 60. Now, if they drop it and it's discounted to 30, 40, okay, that makes sense. But years have gone by now. I would not advise anyone to pay full price for the game. The DLCs weren't that great to me either. I'm going to throw it out there. I thought they were fairly average, but it is a good game, Final Fantasy 16. It's not a great game. It's good. I would say it's in the 7.5 range.
Okay,
personally.
fair.
Yeah, and you'll find some enjoyment of it. It's not a turn-based style, so it might not be in your wheelhouse if you prefer turn-based for Final Fantasy games.
Closer to 15 would be a good, accurate depiction.
Yeah, something like that. Yep, very close to 15. Actually, I think that's what they patterned it off of pretty much. But yeah, I think that it coming to Xbox is past due. But listen, Square had to learn the hard way, and it looks like they're finally trying to make amends. PC obviously is a part of their approach too. So I'm all for it. Let's just hope that going forward they don't make the same past mistakes and act like a de facto first party for Sony going forward. That's the best thing I guess we can hope for. But when they act right, reward them. When they don't, you buy the games at discounted prices if you don't outright pirate it on PC. But yeah, it's up to you guys. But I would say get it when it's a cheaper price when it comes to Xbox. I wouldn't get it at full price.
I'm wondering if they're going to push the envelope and try and get this to Game Pass, because I don't know if it's going to sell as. I mean, look, I can't. I'm not buying it. I'm gonna put it to you that way. I have it for the PS5. If it's in Game Pass, I'm not going to front. I will try it. I will play it. I didn't like 15. I hated 15. Not for the style. I hated those guys running around in the car. Like I was over those
too much
guys.
Of a pretty boy looking like BTS up in there.
It just was too much for me. It was just too much. So
I would say that Clive is more rugged, right?
Okay.
So he's more of a rugged character. I think you'll like him more as far as that goes. He's the kind of stereotypical hero kind of guy. He's not all like, oh, let's take a group picture together, guys. All right. Like, I don't know. That's the vibe I get from 15. And dude looking like Sasuke Uchiha. But yeah, like again, I would, like I said, show them with your wallet, as they say, right? If they release it at a good price, or if it drops into Game Pass, absolutely support it. I would say that, but I wouldn't pay full price for that just because they deemed us on the Xbox side of things unnecessary at first. Well, now you have to show them that they're not necessary. I think an eye for an eye is just called for in some cases. But enjoy it at a point. Enjoy it at a point. I wouldn't say don't ever play it. Just play it when it's reasonable for you.
That makes perfect sense. Crazy Lou Game. Let's get you in on the conversation. So,
right.
I think it's safe to say that Final Fantasy 16, the release is imminent. I don't know about Final Fantasy 7 Remake, which I actually, that's the one that I want. I could, if you said, boom, you got a choice. Final Fantasy 7 Remake or 16, give me 7 Remake. I'll play that on my Xbox. I played it halfway through before I got distracted by something else. I loved Final Fantasy 7, the original, so much so that I beat it once in Japanese and beat it once when it came to America. How? FAQs. I downloaded a bunch of FAQs. That's how I beat it in Japanese way back in the days when I used to import stuff. Okay. But it appears that Final Fantasy 16 is going to be the one releasing first, at least based on the comments here. Do you think that this is going to sell? More importantly, do you think that this is more so a Game Pass situation?
Ooh, I mean, look, we all saw when it came out, because we all know. For example, I mentioned this a bunch of times on my show, and I talked about it before. Like, for example, nowadays when a game releases, we wait to see what's going on with the game. I mean, if it's fully optimized, the game is working well. I mean, that Final Fantasy game when it released, it had its couple of issues. Umbra talked a little bit about the story, and he even recommended buy it for this price. So yeah, I mean, will it sell? I think it would, because I mean, there's a lot of fans out there for Final Fantasy that have an Xbox console that just want the game to be on there, And when it comes out, I mean, those fans are probably going to get it. But the thing is with me and Final Fantasy and Square is that every time I see like a Final Fantasy game, I feel like I'm seeing the same game that was in 360. I do not know why, but I have like that same feeling, the same graphics, same thing. It feels like we're still seeing like the 360 thing. Of course, there's gonna be some that look way better, okay. But either way, though, I feel like we're still the 360 kind of thing. And not only that, though, I think it's time for them like to shake things up and change their ways around. Because I mean, look, I don't know if you're excited for this game, but I call it Preparation 33. I forgot the name though. It came out to the
Expedition 33.
Yes,
I
Expedition 33.
thought he was talking about Preparation H. I'm like, preparation. I thought you were about to make a pun or something.
Oh my goodness.
No, I kind of confused, but yeah, I call it Preparation 33, but it's Expedition 33. I mean, I saw Expedition 33, and I was like, man, this is what Square needs to go back to. It needs to go back to this, and also bring that action. When you're gonna attack, you gotta press the A, the precise moment, to do a more powerful attack. I've been asking for that for years, or either that. Why don't you do a game that you have both things? If you wanted to go action, you go action. If not, you go this way. What's that play style? Like you mentioned it, Boom, earlier. Like you take turns to attack.
The turn-based.
Turn-based, yeah. I mean, why don't you make a game that has both of those things? You know, if you guys can do that, that'll be fabulous. That'll be like a new style of RPG thing, and we'll get more developers to get into that. I mean, they have that option. It probably costs a lot more, yeah, but it'll be freaking fabulous. But at the end of the day, you know, I'm excited for Expedition 33 because when I saw it, I was like, man, this is the RPG that needs to come back. And that's something that Legion of Dragoon, like I mentioned earlier, had that type of thing. Mario RPG has that style too. You got to press the button at the precise moment to do a powerful attack, even with the magic and everything. I mean, we need that sort of style to come back. And if Square can go back to that with Final Fantasy, I think they will probably have a big banger right there. I mean, just giving out some thoughts, you know. But yeah, I think it would sell. I think it would sell, but let's see what happens.
Hargeet Johnny says in the chat.
I just saw it.
Hold on, let me pause this. This is a pause. Okay. Hargeet Johnny says Preparation H is the next DLC for Stellar and Yams.
You just ruined her for me, Hargeet.
Oh man, that
I
is
was rubbing her yams before you said that. Now all I think of is like boils back there. No,
you know what's interesting. I said yesterday, like live on the air, and it aggravated some people that are like PlayStation fans. The talk of the town over the weekend was the fact. Forget the Marvel vs. Capcom thing. I've talked that to death already. I still tweet about it because I want them to bring that over. I have every Capcom collection game for both the Switch and the Xbox. No reason why that shouldn't be on here. I don't know whose fault it is, but you know what? Sometimes you talk about things, you will it into fruition, right? Maybe that's going to be the case here. Maybe Microsoft's like, yeah, you know, we should do something. Yeah, Microsoft, you should do something. Black Myth Wukong is coming out now. Obviously, that's been delayed on the Xbox. And we talked about it yesterday. I don't want to go into specifics because we talked about it yesterday. I said publicly, and I'll say it again today, I'm not buying that game. Now, what they have done, they've soured me so much with this nonsense that now I'm not going to buy the game. And when I am going to buy the game, it's going to be when it's half price. Because that was coming out in August, which was the perfect time to play that game. And now, if it's, let's say, for instance, it's delayed 3 months, it's going to come out around Avowed or Indiana Jones or both. And I'm sorry, that's just not going to get my money. So they've soured me in a way where, you know, and I'm saying all of that to say is that happened with Final Fantasy 16 with a lot of people. It happened a lot with Stellar Blade. For instance, Stellar Blade was originally announced as a multi-plat. Sony swooped in, locked it up, and now they only sold 1 million copies.
Same thing for Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Yep. I mean, I just looked up the stats. Final Fantasy VII, Final Fantasy 16 has not reached past 3.5 million copies. Jesus. How many consoles do they tell us consistently that they have out there? 60 million consoles.
Yep.
So you're telling me that 60 million customers, 60, not 6, 60 million people, humans. Consoles are out there, supposedly according to Sony, that are activated, right? And only 3.5 million people bought Final Fantasy 16. Go ahead.
So to be honest, it's 49 million active users because they show the sheet. Remember
it's
the
49
sheet?
active. So
49.
where's it?
So the 56 million is got the retail stores that bought it. Because that's the thing. It's confusing, right? So when they go out there and say, yeah, we have shipped. Remember, shipped is one thing, right? Sold is another. But when they say we sold, it's to the distributors, like for example, Walmart, stuff like that. But then when you see the active users, they only have 49 million active users on the PS5. So that's only 49 million people own the PS5.
That's not really that much more than the Xbox Series X and S, is it? Right? Like they're closing in on.
It's pretty much half. It's pretty much that. Well, if you go to the numbers though, if the numbers have been posted, it's half though. It's pretty much like half and half, close to half. Yeah, close to half.
Well, listen. At the end of the day, Final Fantasy 16. If you were waiting for it, if you're an Xbox guy or gal, it based on this thank you letter to the fans that supported it for the PlayStation 5, the PC version is going to come out. I don't know if the PC version is going to do that well. We'll see. And I would imagine at the Tokyo Game Show, which is in September, which what 3.5 months away, it could be released there. It could be announced that it's releasing there. It would be I think it'd be a W for Square to release that this year, but that would mean that they would have to have worked out the contract that they had with Sony, which was just a one-sided contract, to be honest with you.
And the best part is we just saw, right? Because there's another narrative that got destroyed on Pony World that they just don't buy exclusives. I mean, Square took off. I mean, they said, bye-bye. We got to open up. If not, we're going to go bankrupt. So they're out. That's what they did. They're out.
Yeah. So listen, before we get into I do want to get into the showcase and gamers. Talking about you guys and gals in the chat. We have over 500 people here. I'm interested to get your top pick, what the one pick you're most excited for, because again, I think there is something to be said, Umbra and Louis, about the show being almost 3 weeks old. It's 3 weeks in the past, and honestly, it's all I can talk about. So I want to shout out Far Q, who actually just DM'd me. Apparently, it just posted about an hour ago. Xbox has tweeted that if you're excited about the upcoming games revealed at the showcase, you don't want to miss. And apparently, it's a developers sit down where you can meet the creators, and it breaks down all of the games that were shown with the people that are actually making it. It's available right now on Xbox. You can go to there on Twitter, and you can click it there, or you of course go right over to their YouTube page and watch it there. I'm going to go check that out while after this particular show. But let me just catch up on a couple of super chats here. We have Rain G4. Hey, Rain, welcome back, brother. Thank you so much for the generosity. He drops very generous $5 super chat, and he goes on to say, IGN wouldn't ask their bosses, Sony, those questions, or they'd be getting laid off. And that's very true. I mean, they do have 43% of the marketing bucks that funds IGN. It comes away of PlayStation. If you didn't know, well, now you do. Big Mad. Yeah,
they even posted it. Remember when they did their IGN live thing that we were waiting for Phil Spencer interview? It was there. You saw this is sponsored by PlayStation.
I was there. I was at IGN Live. As a matter of fact, they did a GIF of me doing this at the funded by PlayStation sign. So yeah, it's out there, folks. It's out there. Big Mad Mo, who's been a channel member for an outstanding 26 months. Mo, thank you so much for the outstanding support. He says, shout out to Boom, Louis, and Unreal Engine 5 Umbra. Hashtag boot on next season in full effect. If you build it, they will come to Game Pass. Indeed, absolutely. And everything that we saw at that show, at least most of it, is in Game Pass. That is crazily impressive.
So well done.
Yeah, it's just
so
it's
impressive,
just
man.
Ridiculous.
And not even that, the ones that have not been announced. I mean, Game Pass has got us busy, Boom. I mean, there's so many games. My God.
There is a graphic that is floating around that I tweeted about. Again, I don't know who did the graphic. There were 65 known titles that are releasing between 2024 and 2025.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
It's ridiculous. That's again what's I think the impressive part about this graphic that's floating around is, one, it's the next 2 years of releases, but those are only those are what we know. Could you imagine about what we don't? They could be triple that number for the next 2 years.
We got games we already, for instance, that's not listed on there, right? Like the Wu-Tang game, that's not listed on there.
No, it's not.
But
Because
and
there's
by
no,
the way,
no graphic for it. So yeah,
exactly. They're only highlighting the games we do know about, which is pretty impressive. And the one who might, by the way, who did this, because I see you didn't know his name, is Pulsed, Pulsed.
Pulsed.
He's the one who did that graphic.
Okay, I've never heard of that. Okay.
That's
shout
my
out to
first time
Pulsed
seeing him too. But shout out to Pulsed. Great graphic. Looked very Clobrial-ish.
Yes. That's why I thought did it at first, because he does a lot of artwork like that as well.
Mm-hmm. Really good. And it kind of, seeing them all on that page like that kind of opens your eyes like, whoa, like that's a lot of work they put into, I guess seeding the things that's going to be going to Game Pass. It's impressive. And you can see a ton of first party. Like that's the most beautiful part about it. That's why I remember just kind of going on a tangent here, but shout out to Special Nick, our brother Special Nick. He had mentioned on Twitter, he's like, I don't know if I would say that this year is better than 2013. And I'm like, let me correct you on that one. Well, I can't correct him because his opinion is his opinion, but we had 17 first party games shown here. Some will say, well, some we already knew about, sure, but this is our first time seeing some of them in action. Not only that, they're all going to Game Pass, like you mentioned a minute ago, Boom. All these games going to Game Pass, even third party that they secured, going to Game Pass. Expedition 33, Life is Strange with the return of Max. I mean, I can go on and on. Mixtape. There's so many other ones, right?
Oh Lord.
There's never been a better Xbox showcase, that's for sure.
I put it this way: there's never been a show that they showed that they included 17 first-party games.
Exactly.
That's just never been done before.
I think if you want to talk about the games that are coming to Game Pass, we pretty much will take the whole show and party a little bit more of the time because there's so many games that are just coming to Game Pass. And we sit here just go down one by one. My God, Game Pass is full of freaking games, especially the 17 that are coming. Oh man, it's insane! It's insane.
You have to be excited for this if you're an Xbox gamer. Exactly. I think if you're just a gamer, you have to look at this and be like, maybe Xbox Game Pass might be the right thing for me. I'm just saying.
I don't know how it's not the right thing for anyone who's a gamer. Look, again, folks, I don't get paid for this. And Microsoft, yes, they acknowledge the channel, but not because I talk about Game Pass. I talk about it as a customer, as a consumer, like you. And I say this full-heartedly and full-throated, that if you are a gamer, I just okay, maybe you don't have an Xbox. I get it. But you can play on your TV, you can play on your ROG Ally, you can play on your Steam Deck. There's so many different ways you can play. I personally don't understand why you're not subscribed to this. Everyone in this chat right now. You know what? Let's do an on live test. This is just the kind of paint my picture here, folks. And again, sorry for being long-winded, but again, news has been a bit sparse. So we're going to try and make it interesting for the 90 minutes that you're here. Because remember, we're not owed anything. The fact that you're here, we are ridiculously grateful that you spend your time with us. In the chat right now, do me a favor. Let me know by a number how many subscription services you currently have. So I'm going to go into the panel, right? So Louis, let's go to you first. How many subscription services do you currently have? Is it double digits?
I don't know. It's a lot, though. I don't know. It's a lot.
So we're going to say more than 10, right?
Probably so more than 10. Yes, it's insane. Yeah.
Right. So, Umbra, let's go to you. How many subscription services do you have?
What's crazy? I actually had to cancel some recently. So if I was counting the ones that I actually had, man, what was it? I had to have about 8 at that point, if not more.
Yeah.
Because I had what's the name of that? Okay, let me get them in my order in my head. I'm trying to remember them all. So we had Showtime because of the Halo series. So I wanted to check that out. So I had that. I had HBO Max at a point. I had so both of those are gone now. I have Hulu. They had offered me like a $3 one after I was about to cancel. I'm like, I'll take $3 a month. Why not? So I still have Hulu. I have Netflix. I have Peacock because of wrestling. Wrestling, as I say. Wrestling. So Peacock, which also has other, good shows and stuff.
Interesting.
Law and Order. What else? Obviously, Game Pass. What else? It's a few other things that I'm forgetting. Also have like other tech things that I'm subscribed to, like Clip
Yes,
Drop.
it's funny you should say that because
Yeah.
Hargeet just asked a question. Does channel memberships count as a subscription?
Yeah,
Yes,
hey,
actually,
I think
that
it does.
does.
That's
And
a fair point.
hold on a sec.
Yeah.
There's another one here that I want to. Who was it? Oh my god! Oh, Thanaros says
it's
does
Paramount.
Walmart
Sorry.
Plus
Thank
count?
you.
Yeah, that's a subscription service, dude.
Yeah.
So yes,
I said Showtime. It was actually Paramount. My bad. Thank you guys for correcting me. Yeah, that was
it's
Paramount.
Well, you cancel your HBO right before the House of Dragons number. Come on, man.
Oh yeah, Amazon. Yeah, I forgot Amazon Prime.
Amazon Prime is a subscription.
Amazon,
yeah.
Exactly.
House
YouTube. My YouTube is
yes.
ridiculous. By the way, it's so worth it. But it's one of those ones I got to grind.
It's like I have the family plan for YouTube. I think it's like $23 a month.
Oh, so
yeah. So because me and Mrs. Boom, like, why should I only do commercial free? That's not fair to her.
I agree. But
so like we do that. I'm going to be honest with you.
The YouTube thing is well worth it, but that is pricey.
Yes.
I'm going to tell you this, guys. This is going to sound like bonkers, but I have like 15. honestly, when you consider all the tech stuff and all like the services that I have on the back end, it's like 15. So again, I know we're all trying to save money. The world sucks right now. The world is just really shitty, and it's expensive no matter where you live. Yep. Some places more than most. New York is ridiculously expensive. LA, when I was there, look, I'm gonna be honest with you. You know, you guys make fun of me when I talk about like the prices of eggs and cheese and stuff like that. I'm a retired guy that has to, live my life on a pension. The pension is great. Is the greatest pension in the world? No, but it's I worked super hard for it. But with that said, it has a ceiling. So you try to save a buck or two here or there. And I know this is a long-winded around the 3 laps around with the whole Game Pass thing. I personally don't understand how you can't have, or why you wouldn't have Xbox Game Pass, even if you are a stout hater of Xbox. The value proposition, it's just so in your face. And even if you are someone that is a casual, having Game Pass gets you all of the casual games. Now it's going to get you even more with Call of Duty, which is ridiculous. And I think you're going to really see a ginormous shift. But look, we got 15 minutes left of the show, folks. I want to make this last 15 minutes count. The Xbox Game Showcase, without sounding like a fanboy, without trying to rah for the $3 trillion company, let's call a spade a spade. It was by far the greatest show on earth. That's it. I know there were a lot of detractors. There were some real just knuckleheads who exposed themselves out there by giving it a 3. We don't have to name them. You know who we're talking about. They're just a bunch of boobs. This show had so many games. Now, I don't know about you, ladies and gentlemen, or anybody on the panel. I have watched the show 6 times. And every time I watched the show, and I was live there, how that actually happened, I'm still pinching myself. I was ass in seat when that thing was happening, along with all of these creators that I work with and met for the first time. It was glorious. Probably the best experience I have personally ever had as a gamer / content creator. I've never had goosebumps for 2 hours long, because that's how long I had goosebumps for. It just was so spectacular of a show, but to be there was just awe-inspiring. But with that said, now I've watched the show 6 times, Umbra. 6 times I watched the show. Every time I've watched it, I've come away with like, I'm changing my pick, my game of the show. Because first it was Gears. I was so awestruck by their going back to E-Day that just has to be it. And then I saw Fable, and I'm like, my God, I'm a Fable stan. I kick chickens. They're bringing it back. It seems like they have the humor of what we knew. That's it. And then I watched it again, and I'm like, oh man, Expedition 33, not first party, but my God, that has been. I get Lost Odyssey vibes from watching that. And then I watched it a fourth time, and I said, man, Perfect Dark, that's the one for me. I'm changing it again. I have had different picks. So right now, I am currently sitting on, because I am the oldest guy in the panel. I'm probably the oldest guy. If you look in the chat, and there may be somebody older than me, I'm going to be 54. Indiana Jones is my most anticipated game of the year. Like, it's just, it looks so good. It plays like a film. The character design, the conversation between the characters, like the guy that was laughing that goes choo choo.
That was great.
That was right out of a film.
That was Indiana Jones right there. Like always, funny stuff in that movie.
Hold on, Scott Gamer Dude's got me beat. He's double nickels. Listen, brother, you got up today. It's a bonus, but yes, at least there's one person older than me. There you go. But look, I'm going to go to you first, Crazy Lou Gaming. How many times have you watched the show? People are still talking about it. Like people, like legitimate gamers who look to the industry and the community to have fun, to get excited about the next big thing, are still talking about this showcase. It is, like I said, the greatest show. I think that it might be the greatest show of all time. Mm-hmm. How many times have you watched it, and are you still on the same pick of the show as your original pick, or have you, like me, saw more of something that made you change your mind?
Listen, Boom, I watched the show 10 times. Now,
wow. Good for you, dude.
Yes, 10 times. Now, my pick has not changed, which is Doom. Doom is always going to be my pick because I'm a big, huge Doom fan. I love Doom. I watched that Doom trailer probably like 300 times. No joke. 300 times. But while I was doing the live showcase, while Sour and everybody was talking, I was watching the trailer again and again and again and again and again. I'm like, I watched the trailer like 70 times while you guys were talking. I mean, dang. For me, it's just Doom. What I really disliked about it is like, man, I wish I had the surprise factor. I hated that it got spoiled for me because, I mean, that was like every showcase comes in. That's what
you're talking about for Doom specifically.
For Doom, yes. Yeah, for Doom. I mean, if that game would have been shown, I mean, the way I would have reacted would have just gone nuts. I probably would flip the couches. I would have gone crazy on here live because
running around the house flipping.
No joke. I would have gone nuts because that's how big of a Doom fan I am. Because if people have heard me before and asked me which game you wanted to be shown, I will always say Doom. And now they spoiled it for me. They talked about it. I'm like, oh, man, now it's coming. But either way, though, happy to see it. And I replayed that trailer again and again. And also the Expedition 33, which I call Preparation 33. That game, really hoping when it releases just to hop in and play because that's that style of RPG I've missed a lot about it. And I really want to hop into it. Those are my two big games. But for me, Doom is always going to be number one.
I mean, listen, we didn't know when they said, when it leaked, when they said they were going back to the dark ages, a lot of people were like, oh my God, he's going to be running around with like a club or an axe.
Look at that
shield. It turns out that that shield is ridiculous.
And the skull thing that crushes. I mean, look, you remember that film where the Hexen shirt? It felt like, this is Doom into Hexen. Like, I'm going to go into Hexen right now and just kick ass. Man, that shield, I'm getting the vibes again. That shield, when I saw that, I was like, yes, that shield looked freaking awesome. I mean, man, Captain America shield with blades.
Yes, absolutely. So before we get to Umbra, let me just address Sin. Sin, okay, so look, I have to change. As you saw, this was originally painted as us talking about the the Call of Duty Fallout combination that they're doing that's currently live. I'm gonna move that to Thursday because it is a conversation that I have to have. We kind of got a little like off track because obviously it was a lot of conversation that we had today. I'm going to take all the art and I'm going to move it to the show. I'm going to change all the art. I'm going to change the title. So if you're just catching the show, you'll get all the updated information. Again, it's just one of those things that we had a plan, and then the plan got kind of reworked like live on the air because obviously it's just one of those days that there's just not a lot of news, and I want to try and keep it on point. But I will be talking about that on Thursday's show, Sin. So tune in for that. That is obviously the show with me and C Money, because I do think that there is a conversation and an opportunity for Xbox to really bring Call of Duty. Now, again, there's going to be a conversation with people that are like, hey, don't put your Call of Duty chocolate into my peanut butter. I get it. They don't want Call of Duty to be Fortnite, but I kind of feel like it's already there. You have Nicki Minaj and Snoop Dogg running around shooting you. I mean, it's already there, right? But I think that Xbox, specifically now that they own Call of Duty, have a ridiculous opportunity, because I'm sorry to say, the minute a Marcus Phoenix skin goes into Call of Duty, I am freaking buying it. There's no questions asked.
I was hoping you would say. I was hoping you were going to say the minute a Banjo-Kazooie skin goes into the game.
If Banjo-Kazooie is running around shooting people, I am going to be the one that's killing. I'm going to get so good at Call of Duty to embarrass people by running around as a stupid bear and a bird shooting
Conquer
people.
would make more sense technically.
But listen to this. It's a good idea, because listen, we already got an evil Winnie the Pooh running around. So why the heck not have an evil Banjo? Why not? I mean, that would be great, man. I mean, didn't you see the evil Winnie the Pooh movies? I saw one.
God, Gamer Dude said that would be out of place. Yeah, because imagine a cartoon character running.
Exactly.
It would absolutely be out of place. There's no doubt about it.
But use the bird like what's this movie called? Hot Shots, right? Hot Shots with Charlie Sheen. Like, he used the
Hot Shots Part 2.
Yeah.
Use the bird that Banjo has and just
kill you until you die.
It's look. So yeah, again, shout out to you, Sin, for the reminder, because what I got to do is I got immediately, the minute the show is done, I got to rework the art. I got to rework the title. I'm actually thinking about it like literally as we're doing the show. But Umbra, let's get your final take on this, because obviously the showcase was phenomenal. It was a complete fire from start to finish. Like literally, I know some people are like, well, the mouse game. Look, the mouse game was the mouse game. It actually looks like it's going to be an indie darling. Not so much for me, but it was good enough to earn its place there. A lot of people thought it was a little out of place, but I think we can honestly say, even with that little bit of a short stop with that this show was phenomenal. I didn't know that. I mean, I thought I watched this. I was like, 6 times. It's a lot. Louis has blown me out the door. He watched it 10 times. How many times did you watch it? And has your opinion changed with your game of the show?
For me, I think I've seen it about 5 times.
Okay.
And I'll probably go back to check it out here and there. But I came away with a 9.5 out of 10. But then I had to mull it over. And I'm like, well, has there been anything better? Because I gave it a 9.5 because while it's damn near perfect, is there any room for improvement? And I guess I kind of try to reason it out with, well, they didn't give some release dates. But then I started thinking, who cares? All these games are coming to Game Pass anyway. When they're done with it, my motto is give it to me when you're ready. When it's ready to give, I don't care about that anymore. So I saw some people giving it 10s. I'm like, you know what? I can't. What's the distinguished thing between a 0.5 and a 9.5 and a 10? It's only 0.5 difference.
Right.
So
that's fair.
I'm at a 9.5, but then I'll take a 10 too. I'm flexible. I'll take either one. I just came away from the show really appreciating the work they put into it. Again, it didn't have, to me, that same setup as it did the years prior, where they're like, oh, it's going to be a big one. Oh, set your expectations. Or, oh, this is, it was kind of like, hey, this is the game show, come through on, June, blah, blah, blah. And then they gave us this. And it was like, whoa, didn't expect this like this much. Because I thought last year was spectacular. It was the best show last year, Xboxes. I've been thinking that Xbox has been carrying gaming for a while. I've said this many times. Had it not been for Xbox, what would we be talking about? Exactly. And I mean it on both sides, be it, or all 3 sides, I guess. When it comes to gaming, Xbox has carried the news by far. It's not even a question. But you don't go from last year's show to this, and it's like night and day. even better somehow than what they gave us last year. So I'm just really proud of the efforts and work they put into it to the team personally. Blew me away. As far as being like
Tina Amini
yeah.
put her hands were all over this. Like if
Oh,
you
yeah.
were wondering, why they hired her, this is the reason. Like I don't, and she's very mild mannered. I mean, she's boisterous when she speaks, that's what I love about her. But I don't think I've ever seen. I haven't seen her be like, yeah, I'm taking credit for it. She really does a lot of behind the scenes stuff. This had her fingerprints all over it.
Well,
And if this is the start of why they hired her from IGN, it's going to be an amazing show each and every time they do one.
When you do such great work, sometimes your work speaks for you. You don't have to say anything, and I guess that's what it is.
That's a great point, dude. Honestly, fantastic point. Yep.
Yeah. So she did her thing. I'm happy that they seem to have the right people in place now. We heard about the other guy that left from the marketing department, and apparently that's a good thing. We'll see. I'm happy for all of this, what they did. I'm just happy for them kind of setting the stage and showing everybody what an actual roadmap looks like. You could not come from that and be like, oh, well, doubt with Microsoft. You just couldn't. Even if it was certain moves they've made with closures and such. Yeah, I know some people try to throw that into it, but that's just them being cynical and hating on Microsoft as they do.
Yeah,
you could not come away from this just being upset. I just don't believe you could. What were you going to say, Lou?
Who was it? Pizza the Hut. They gave it a 3 out of 10. Was it out there?
I don't even want to name them, but yeah, it was BS. You couldn't. If this came to a 3 for you, then you just don't like gaming. Like at that point, as far as I'm concerned, and I don't care what anybody. Well, you got different tastes. Yeah, poor taste. Anyway, moving on to the other part. What was the other question? I'm sorry.
Well, well, obviously we know you watched it a bunch of times like me, but has your game of the show changed?
Since my game of the show
so many times.
It has not, but it did fluctuate between the emotion behind Gears E-Day and Gears of War E-Day, and I have to say the whole name. I'm sorry, Gears of War E-Day. It fluctuates between the emotional side of seeing that and I guess the technical awe of Fable. I'm still in awe of Fable. Every time I look at it, I'm like, how is this happening? This is not Unreal Engine. Why is this happening? I don't get it.
And man, and the way it tells the story is it looks like it's going to be a good Fable. It's going to be a great Fable. Oh,
I hope it. I just hope that they nail it. Visually, it's. I don't want to say in a Hellblade tier. Hellblade, I think, is just kind of like insane, especially if you see it on PC. Yeah, it looks good on Xbox, but sheesh, on PC, it's like, come on. So I'm just hoping that they stick the landing with Fable. I hope the combat is solid. It seems to be the case. Just blown away by how everything looks, and that's still supposed to be gameplay. I'm like, wow, this is gameplay. I can't even get that in my head.
It looks so good that, like, you could honestly be like, I'm not even sure. Like, remember how when it was first shown, people like, that's just CG. Turns out that's actual gameplay.
Yep. And I don't blame them because it looked that damn good. So I'm just hoping they stick that landing, and it's none of that, stuff people going back. Oh, it looked downgrade. I just hope it really looks good once it releases.
I love it.
And the combat is fun. You know how they do. I don't see the foliage. It's not moving or something, or the fruits. Anyway, as far as the Call of Duty, that was the one. Call of Duty. We were saying, who would you like to see in that? Just to kind of throw it out there. Master Chief is the obvious, easy answer, right? But since they have Perfect Dark and all that, and you see Tomb Raider with Lara Croft in there, why not Joanna Dark? Why not put her in there? I think she would fit in perfectly fine for a Call of Duty as a skin.
Get me Banjo. I want an evil Banjo, just like evil Winnie the Pooh. That's what I want.
Oh, brother, now I have to bust a cap in you. Oh,
oh my goodness, that is crazy. I love it. Look, again, this was an amazing showcase, and mind you, we still have 3 left. We still have 3 showcases left. Now, I say 3 because obviously We know that Gamescom is in August. It's their biggest booth ever, and last year's was the biggest booth before that. This is going to be apparently a bigger booth. There, thanks to Paris Lilly, he had confirmed that they had held stuff back because originally this was pitched as a 3-hour show. They had to cut it down. They're bringing a lot of wares to Gamescom. We know some of them. They said and more. They didn't say what those more were. I expect some big surprises there. Tokyo Game Show is also supposed to render a huge amount of unveils there. That's going to be big. And then, of course, at the end of the year, you still have the Game Awards, which you know they're going to be there in a big way. Is that where they show off the handheld? Maybe. Maybe that's where they go with the handheld, because it is going to have millions of people. It's the big listen. Whether I don't like Keely's antics, some of his stuff and some of the way he conducts himself, I do not like it at all. But he does put on shows that garner lots of eyeballs. Specifically, the Game Awards. If you're going to show off a console like they did in 2019 with the Series X, you're going to show your handheld. That's where you go. That is definitely where you go. But look, let me just make sure I'm caught up on all super chats. And we have one more here that came in. Review Scientology USA drops a very generous $2 super chat and says, I'm a PlayStation gamer, but I can't deny the value of Game Pass on PC. And that's great. And if you do play those games on PC, which a lot of people do, like, you don't have to have an Xbox. You have a rig that can run these games, and you're probably rocking a 4080 or 4090, and you're going to upgrade your rig when the 5000 series comes out potentially next year. Hey, it's a winner chicken dinner. You have your PlayStation, which is great. Enjoy your games there, but you can also play on your PC through Game Pass, which is dope. So thank you so much for the generosity. And let's get everyone out of here. I'll start first with you, Louie. Let's sell the brand. Tell everyone about the Xbox International podcast, where they can subscribe to the YouTube channel, and more importantly, tell them where they can find that show specifically on Friday evenings in Espanol, plus where they can follow you and your crazy antics, which, of course, they have Crazy Louie does these things in the morning that, well, he earns his name, ladies and gentlemen. Sell the brand, brother.
All right. Mr. Boosted, thank you for having me on here. I'm here every single Tuesday. I try to be on here at my best because, man, I just been busy bee on the Xbox Partner Podcast. I'm just dropping down the link. If you guys can copy and paste it to subscribe to the channel. I am in the Xbox International Podcast at 7 p.m. ET on Wednesdays with Sour the Big Boom, and Silent Cypher. And there is an Xbox International Podcast in Espanol at 7 p.m. with ASCAP Gaming, Eternal Sharav, and Elvin. And also every single morning I'm doing this. It's called Good Morning with Crazy Louie. I go on here, just talk to the chat, talk with them about the morning news, talk some stuff, just hang out. I don't have a specific time. Just watch out for my Twitter and watch out for my posts on YouTube when I go on live. I go on live and do this every single morning from Mondays to Saturday. That's where you can find the Crazy One, and on Twitter at Crazy Louie Gaming.
Yes, and thank you so much for being a part of this show each and every week. And Umbra, let's sell your brand, brother. The Fix, Thursday evenings, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with you and Daniel McGee. Talk about it, brother. Where can people subscribe to your YouTube channel? But more importantly, find you on social media.
Yes. It's good to be back here talking with you, gentlemen. Usually my energy reserves are up by this point, but I got a little nap in. It worked. So I think that's what I'll stick with. Of course, you guys can find me on Twitter X, Infinite Umbra or Umbra Infinite. And as Boom alluded to, Thursdays at 8 o'clock for my podcast, and with Danny as co-host. I call him co-star. I try to sound special. The Fix at 8 o'clock Eastern. And we had Miles Dump here for this week, but we were trying to do something really, really special, because if you guys don't remember, Miles also ran a podcast on Saturdays, and
yes,
we miss him doing that. But he's working now with the gaming company, so he has to get clearances, and he could not get the clearance to come through this week, unfortunately.
Okay.
So we'll get him on there eventually. And I'm trying to get it, see if maybe his company, I forgot the name of the people who make it, if they can give a copy of Killer Clowns from Outer Space away in it. Louis, I know you bought it yourself as well. I remember you talking about it.
Yes, I
you liking
did. Oh, I'm loving it. I have it for Xbox, PC, and pretty soon I'll have it for PlayStation.
Nice. All
Nice.
right.
Yeah,
Wow.
big
Okay.
fan, big fan.
This is going to be a whole giveaway palooza this week. I'm still going to do 2 giveaways. Somebody is going to win for the Xbox Game Showcase predictions. So that'll be announced. They'll get Hypercharge unboxed. And my buddy of mine, he hit me up. He just said, "Hey, Umbra, he's a big fan of Elden Ring." And he said, "Hey, Erd Tree is coming out, blah blah blah. You want to give a giveaway? I can do it through your show." I'm like, "Yeah, no, you didn't say nothing but a word, brother." So we're giving away Shadow of the Erd Tree for those who follow my contest rules on Twitter as well. So if you're not following me, follow now and follow the rules as far as everything is concerned completely, from following myself, my friend that I have tagged, and subscribing to the channel here on YouTube. And you too can be entered into the drawing for that this Thursday. So yeah, thank you guys for being here with us and holding us down and keeping the chat lively. Much love to you all.
Well, appreciate you being here, sir. Thank you so much. And again, everyone that won a Gears of War coin or the Gears E-Day coins that were designed by Ben Kenobi over at the Xbox fan art, those have all been mailed out. So if you're listening, I'm going to try and get everyone their tracking numbers for their coins. Mrs. Boom and I have 5 Double Barrel Gaming prize packs that we're going to do a drawing. I don't know if we're going to do it this Friday or we're going to do it next week. And I'm holding out because I'm trying to get a few more of those Gears of War coins. If I can get my hands on them, I'm trying to get 5 additional. So if I can get those 5 additional, we will add those to these Mrs. Boom designed prize packs. Yeah, and obviously we sent a couple of them out, as you know, to a few of the community members. That, you know, again, we do contests, you know, in public eye. We do a lot of stuff behind the scenes that we just do extra that no one's ever going to know about because we like doing that. So she had made 15 of them. I took a bunch with me to LA, gave a bunch of them to people that I met in the streets, which is great. And we have 5 left over. So what we're going to try and do is, with those prize packs, which they're really nice, Mrs. Boom outdid herself. We're going to try and add a Gears of War E-Day coin. I'm just waiting on the confirmation of those coins, and then we will make the announcement of these prize packs. And again, all you got to do is be in the chat. You don't even got to be subbed. We don't listen. I'd love you to sub. I'd love you to be a channel member. All of those things. But when we do these contests, we do open them up to everyone. The only difference is if you are a channel member, the first half of any group of prizes that we do, those go first. If you're a channel member, you get first dibs because it's only right. But listen, again, hopefully you enjoyed the show enough to sub. Hopefully you enjoyed the show enough to hit the like button. Share this out on social media. A big thank you to well over 700 people that were here today. We truly appreciate the support. Again, Mrs. Boom and I are 237 subs away from 15K. We got a bunch of subs today, which is really cool. Again, we're a mom and pop organization. We're trying to get to 15K. We're doing it the right way. We're not selling out. We're just providing good entertainment. Hopefully you enjoy the entertainment enough to subscribe. And of course, a big thank you to all of the super chats and the gifted memberships. We can't thank you enough for that kind of generosity. And I'm going to close out the show with something that's incredibly important to me. Hopefully one day, folks, will be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids, and would say, Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, son. I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. We'll see you next week on the newest episode of the Xbox Factor Podcast.